But briefly to introduce myself, and then I'll introduce our guest speaker. My name's Maddie Kaufman, and I'm the Program and Outreach Director at Debris Free Oceans. So I manage our various programs, which are all geared around our mission statement, which is inspiring local communities to responsibly manage the life cycle of plastics and waste as part of a global initiative to eradicate marine debris. And so again, really just working with local communities to do this. And so some of our programs include our cleanup program, which is a really fun way to engage the community in beach cleanups and scuba cleanups. We always include some fun activity to accompany the cleanup. One, to show how fun it can be to get involved, and two, to get people that wouldn't necessarily sign up for just a trash pickup. So we'll do kayak cleanups, scuba cleanups. We'll do keg and cleans when the pandemic's over, and we bring a keg to the beach and you get free beer if you bring a reusable cup. So definitely put in the chat if you want to find out about these events. I can add you guys to our email list. But that's really kind of reactive to the problem of plastic pollution. You know, we're not stopping it from the source. We're just picking up what's out there. And reactive solutions really will never work at the end of the day. And they're often a lot more expensive. We like to think about it as a flooding bathroom. You really won't solve the problem by bailing out a ton of water unless you turn off the faucet and stop the flow of plastics into our ocean. And so we have some programs built to also be proactive and preventative. We do education, and we'll visit local schools in person and virtually. We've educated over 8,500 students in our 5 years of existence. We're about 5 years old. So if you're a teacher or you know a teacher, definitely let us know. We love visiting our students. And then we also do sustainability consulting, where we work with local businesses and local governments to provide their businesses with the tools they need to switch away from single-use plastics to items that are actually degradable in the environment or can be composted. And we have done some policy work in the past, but recently we haven't done much direct lobbying as the Debris Free Oceans team. But what we've really channeled our efforts into is empowering our following and our community with the tools they need to do that. And so we've been able to work with Oceana both on that front and with our sustainability consulting front a lot recently, which has been really great and fruitful. So we will use tools that Cat provides us to tell our following of opportunities to public comment or attend a virtual meeting on our social media channels. I'll put our handle in the chat later in case you don't have that. And then also Cat, who I will introduce in 1 minute. I just keep referring to you, but we'll work with Cat from Oceana she does a lot of work to build out ordinances for local municipalities in South Florida. And so she'll kind of write them up and present them to commissioners. And Kat, feel free to go way more into all the amazing work you do. But we'll kind of follow up with our sustainability consulting resources. And it makes a really great 1-2 punch, because sometimes these businesses and city officials are a little hesitant to pass this policy because they don't know the resources that are out there. So it's been really great. And Oceana has a lot of incredible stuff planned for plastic policy work ahead of this legislative session. So we thought it would be really great to do a webinar about all of these resources. I've learned so much from Kat over even just the last year. She makes everything very understandable and approachable. So she's the South Florida campaign organizer for Oceana, which is a nonprofit that has built out kind of stuff-based or campaigns for influencing policy just for ocean conservation in general. So it's not just plastics. They have a whole plastics campaign. That'll be the focus of today. But they also do other work on overfishing. I think you guys have done some offshore drilling work, really cool holistic approach to just ocean conservation in general. So I think that was all I really wanted to touch on in my introduction. But I'm really excited to pass it over to Kat so she can introduce herself and then get started educating us about how we can get involved. There's so much really amazing policy work being done despite the preemptions that are out there that she'll go into. So I'll stop talking and hand it over to Kat.
Thank you very much, Maddie. You can hear me okay?
Yeah.
All right, great. My name is Cat Uden, and I'm a Southeast Florida campaign organizer for Oceana, and I'm really excited to be here with Debris-Free Oceans today to give you a little background on policy and what you can do at the local, state, and federal levels. And I'm just going to share my screen. And are you able to see that okay?
Yes, looks good.
Great. All right, so we're going to talk about the plastic pollution crisis and what you can do. And I know that the Debris Free Oceans audience is already very educated, and most of you already know about the plastic pollution problem, and you don't need a huge background. So I'm not going to spend a huge amount of time on that, but trying to spend the bulk of it on the policy. So again, my name is Catherine Uden, Southeast Florida campaign organizer for Oceana. We are international, but I work for the U.S. office, and we work on a variety of campaigns to protect our oceans through policy. But our plastic campaign is global. It's international at every office because this is a global problem. So recently, Oceana came out with a report, and this report basically examined the US water since 2009, found that 1,800 marine mammals and sea turtles swallowed or were entangled in plastic in US water since 2009. This is a amazingly huge problem. It's happening in oceans all around the world, and reports of animals being killed by plastic is becoming increasingly more common. We see this even here in Florida. So sea turtles, manatees, seals, sea lions, whales, these are all animals that are in this report. And I urge you to go to our website and look deeper into this report if you can. Most of the instances were in Florida waters. And of course, this doesn't cover the whole span of animals affected. It's just the ones that turned up in the data that we collected. So in this report, you can see the animals in each region, and that they were choked, strangled, and some of the animals, it only took one piece of plastic to kill these animals. And 88% of these animals were endangered or threatened under the Endangered Species Act. So we're talking about saving species from extinction here. Again, in the cases where plastic ingestion was the likely cause or contributor of death, 7 involved just one piece of plastic. So even one piece of plastic can make a difference. And we see this, if you've volunteered with Debris Free Oceans or another organization, or if you just pick up trash on your own, you understand the plastic pollution problem and that it is everywhere, and it's getting worse and worse as we're creating more and more plastic. Some people think that it's just a international problem, other countries, that the US is responsible with their plastic. The truth is that the US is responsible for some of the highest plastic inputs to the ocean in the world, ranking 3rd. And the US also generates more plastic waste than any other country in the world. We're actually number 1. So this is a problem that we need to work on here. We can't just be pointing fingers, and yes, we're working on it in other nations, but we also need to work on it here in the United States. A lot of people think that, well, if I don't live right by the beach, it's not a problem. If I'm not dumping plastic directly into the ocean, it's not a problem. Plastic can get into the ocean various ways, as you know. Plastic on the streets can wash into storm drains that empty into the ocean. Canals can carry them out. We have a lot of canals here in Florida that carry trash out to the ocean. The wind and the rain can transport plastic waste from landfills to streams and rivers. And then also industrial products can be improperly disposed of or lost during transport. So even inland communities need to take a look at this problem and see what they can do to reduce the amount of single-use plastic that we're using. Also an issue is human health. So we know that scientists are doing a lot of studies right now to figure out what chemicals are doing to our bodies. We've been finding microplastics in humans and human stool, and it's a huge worry. Humans that are either eating seafood or drinking or eating out of plastic. And this is a huge concern. So not only just for our oceans, but also for our own health. And what's really scary is that we are producing a lot of plastic, and it's only increasing. Companies produce more than 400 million tons of plastic every year. And what is driving this problem? Why are we producing so much of this plastic? We are producing a lot of this plastic because of the abundance of cheap natural gas from fracking. And I'm sure our audience is also very well educated on fracking and the harm that it causes to our environment. So really, we don't just want to look at the plastic waste and what occurs later when it becomes garbage or when it goes into the ocean. We want to think about the production of plastic as well, and the fracking that we have to do to create the plastic, and realize that plastic pollutes throughout the course of its entire life cycle. So producing plastic produces an enormous amount of greenhouse gas emissions, twice as much as the aviation sector. And this is a graphic from the Center for International Environmental Law that I like to look at. Just puts an idea in your head that it's not just, you know, throwing the plastic bottle in the trash can or the recycling bin or the ocean or the street. It's also producing all of this plastic. So when we're talking about climate change and reducing emissions, we really need to reduce the amount of unnecessary single-use plastic that we're producing. And what's worse is plastic production is expected to quadruple. So by 2050, we're looking at 4 times as much plastic as we're producing right now. And if you think about that, the more plastic you produce, the more plastic we're going to see in our oceans, because not all of it is recovered or disposed of or handled properly. So when we're thinking about plastic policy, we want to look at what plastic is kind of easier to tackle and what plastic is a problem, what we're producing a lot of. When we look at global plastics production in 2015, we can see that a huge part of the plastics pie is packaging. 36% is packaging. So when we're talking about packaging, we're talking about a lot of single-use material designed for immediate disposal. We're talking about your plastic water bottles, your cups, your food containers. This is a huge part of the plastic pie, and this is what we're usually talking about when we are talking about plastic policy and things that we can easily tackle and reduce. Also, as you probably know, if you've done beach cleanups with debris-free oceans or, just looking around our beaches and our waterways, these are the most commonly collected items in beach cleanups. And this is according to data collected by the International Coastal Cleanup, which is the Ocean Conservancy. Every year they do an annual cleanup where the participants track their data and see which items are a problem. So what items are they finding the most of? They use this app called Clean Swell, and every time they find an item, they can tick what they're collecting, and these are the items most commonly cleaned up. So if you look at these straws, utensils, bottles, bags, cups, these are items that are single-use plastics that we only use for a few minutes and then discard, and they're probably items that we could have avoided. Either we could have used something of an alternative, more eco-friendly material, or we could have used something reusable, right? Because that's usually the most eco-friendly, is using something again and again. So these are the items that we're talking about when we're talking about policy and legislation. So a lot of people also try to point you towards recycling as the answer. Only about 9% of the plastic waste produced has been recycled, and only about 2% is effectively recycled into something equal or greater value. So again, recycling is not the answer. Cleanups, as wonderful as they may be, and I've done about 1,000,001 cleanups and hosted them as well, and I will continue to clean up every time I go to the beach. It really is not going to solve our plastic crisis. We need to look towards policy and towards legislation and towards companies doing the responsible thing, more producer responsibility. So again, if we think about the fact that by 2050, we're going to quadruple our plastic production, that's what's projected, there's no way that our recycling could keep up with that projected amount of plastic that we are going to produce. We already are having a really hard time recycling the plastic that we produce currently. What made it worse is that China enacted a policy called National Sword in, I believe it was the end of 2018, and they stopped taking the world's plastic waste. So a lot of people used to think that when they put plastic in the recycling bin, that we processed it here, that we turned it into other items, and we were actually shipping it overseas. We were shipping it to countries that could not handle the amount of plastic waste, and a lot of it was dirty or not valuable, and a lot of that was getting dumped in the ocean. So a lot of these videos and pictures that we saw of other countries dumping plastic into the ocean, a lot of that was our plastic. China decided to stop taking it, so we've been getting backed up. We really can't handle all the plastic that we have. A lot of it is getting either incinerated or buried in the landfill. So this is definitely not the answer. Incineration is not the answer either. So it's very falsely represented as renewable and green waste to energy. It actually releases very toxic emissions. It releases greenhouse gases, and it produces a very small amount of energy for the amount of garbage that you have to put into it. So again, this is not looking at the beginning of the waste cycle. We want to look at policies to reduce plastic at the beginning of the waste cycle. Because if we constantly look towards cleaning up and recycling, it's, we're never going to put in a big enough dent in this problem. So another way to look at it is that when your bathtub is overflowing, you don't run for a mop before you turn off the faucet. Recycling is the mop, and we need to turn off the faucet. So this is what our policies are aimed at doing. We also can't look towards, voluntary actions. A lot of our state lawmakers and, local lawmakers, they will tell you, well, I think we just need to educate people. I think we just need to tell people to use other stuff, and that'll solve the problem. It's not going to solve the problem. Even people that want to switch away from plastics and live more plastic free are having a really hard time doing it just because there's no choice. They go to the grocery store, they see all the shampoos are in plastic. It's really hard to find a shampoo bar that you can use without packaging at your local grocery store. You usually have to go to a specialty store, order online. We really just don't have a lot of choice. You go to a lot of restaurants, they don't offer you a choice between, something environmentally friendly or reusable container. They might offer something in foam. So really not a whole lot of choice out there. If you want to go to the grocery store and buy wooden disposable utensils, there aren't wooden utensils. They only offer plastic. So we want to encourage policies that'll create more plastic free alternatives. So if we look at trends around the world, policies regulating single-use plastics are becoming increasingly common. So if you look at this chart, this was just in 2016, you can see how much national policies shot up in that time because people were noticing our plastic crisis and our plastic in the oceans. So a lot of countries have been passing bans across the entire nation to reduce single-use plastic. So I know places like Kenya and Rwanda passed bag bans. A lot of Caribbean nations, Jamaica, Bahamas, they were passing policies to ban single-use plastics. I know, the UK, England, Scotland, a lot of countries were passing these policies, and they've been very successful in places and states, other states and nations where these policies have been enacted. They've noticed that these single-use plastic use has decreased and less litter in the environment. So there is data to back this up that this is very successful. So if we look at states around the nation that have enacted plastic bag legislation, and knock on wood, some are currently, I think, passing as we speak. These are states that have enacted plastic bag legislation in blue. The ones in green, unfortunately, are what are called preemption states. So if you look at Florida down there, it's green. These are states that not only have not enacted a plastic bag ban, but they have banned their cities from enacting bag bans. So that means that not only did they not take the initiative to reduce single-use plastics, but they have banned their cities from doing so even if they want to. So if that city comes forth and all the residents are happy about it and the city commission is willing to pass it, they're not allowed to because there's a state law, there's a state preemption that says you can't do that.
Kat, I was going to chime in real quick because I realized I did not share the poll results, which applies here. And so we have 31% of people from Miami, 52% are from somewhere else in Florida, 7% are from the East Coast, and 3% are from the Midwest, and then 7% is from other. So whoever's an other, if you want to put in the chat where you're from, we would love to know, just so this applies a little bit to where these preemptions are. And then in terms of scale of policy and how much they know about the status, the majority of people ranked themselves as a 1 or as a 2 or 3 out of 5, where 5 is the most knowledgeable. So intermediate knowledge, mostly Florida, but still some people from throughout the states as well.
Okay.
And then last.
Go ahead.
Yeah, the last bit is in terms of how they've engaged with elected officials before. 17% has not at all. Most people have done, about 70% have done some petition signing, about 40% have done some letter writing, and then about 20% have done some public comments, and another 20% have done some actual one-on-one meetings. So we have a whole range of experience levels, but I definitely think it's a lot of people are just kind of starting to dip their toes in, which is exciting.
Good. Well, that is very exciting because I like to teach people how to do that. And really anybody can, even kids can. I've even seen little kids lobby their elected officials and go to and speak at city meetings. I've seen them dress up in turtle costumes and speak at city meetings. So yeah, so that's very exciting. I'm really glad to hear that. Yeah, so if you're in another state and you don't have a preemption, I'm very jealous. I have some colleagues that are in like South Carolina and they don't have any preemptions. So they are allowed to pass bag bans in their cities. And people often say, well, it'll be more, it'll be difficult in Florida and things like that. And people, get discouraged if they see that, oh, well, it's kind of more conservative. South Carolina is conservative, but they've passed bag bans. So don't give up. There are cities with conservative mayors in South Carolina and all of their grocery stores in that city comply. So if they can do it, so can we. And we will keep trying. So yeah, unfortunately, we have this preemption, but I'm going to tell you what we can do about it. It's very frustrating, but there are things that we can do about it. It's only going to come about with public pressure, and you have to hold your elected officials accountable. And I will let you know how to do that. So on to the next screen. Even with these preemptions, we can still do things here in our local municipalities. Sometimes your cities, your city manager or your mayor or your commissioner don't know that. They don't realize that they can still pass ordinances. So you can help educate them because a lot of them don't know. They think that everything is preempted. Really, all that's preempted is single-use plastic shopping bags and also polystyrene foam. Those are the two preemptions that we have. However, there are also loopholes in those preemptions, which say that even though you can't ban a restaurant from passing it out, or you can't ban your grocery store from selling it, you can ban it on your own city property, your city parks, your city beaches, in your city contracts, temporary vendors that come to city events. So anything city related on their property and their contracts and their parks, they can still ban it. So that's when you see these foam bans passing. Yeah, we could not ban the stores from selling it or the restaurants from giving it out yet, unless we remove that at the state level. But you can ban it on city property. So a lot of municipalities are doing that. This is a huge list of some various municipalities that have been passing single-use plastic bans of some sort. Right now, about 27 municipalities have passed plastic straw bans in Florida, and about 19 municipalities have passed some sort of other plastic ordinance, whether it be plastic bottles or bans on city property. So the list is growing, and we're showing that there is support, there's momentum, we want to do it. And every time we do something like this, it sends a message to Tallahassee that people care about this issue. And we should have control over it. After all, who pays for our waste management? Who figures out our recycling? Who cleans up our storm drains? Who cleans up the beaches? It's us. So if we have to bear the brunt of our waste management, then we should be able to decide how to better manage that, right? It only makes sense. So what can we do nationwide? Obviously, we need some federal legislation. There are many nations that are moving forth with federal legislation. And the bill that we were supporting during the last Congress, during the last session, was called the Break Free from Plastic Pollution Act. And this bill is going to be introduced again, probably next month. So I don't have a bill number for you right now, but there will be a bill number soon. And I'm sure Debris Free Oceans will help get that information out to you. And so can we if you follow Oceana, and we can help you advocate for that. But you can still advocate for it. It just doesn't have a bill number right now. It hasn't been refiled, but it will probably be identical to the one before. The Break Free from Plastic Pollution Act does kind of a variety of things. It would require nationwide container refunds, so things like a bottle deposit bill, which are very successful in places where they're carried out. That's where you might pay like an extra 5-10 cents for your bottle. And once they're all collected and turned in, you get that deposit back. That encourages people to put it in the right bin, to return their bottles, to not litter them in the environment. Phase out certain polluting products, a carry-out bag fee, which most nations are doing right now for plastic retail shopping bags. A minimum recycled content requirement, better recycling and composting, stop shipping our recycling waste to other nations that can't handle it. And this is a huge issue too, because it's a huge environmental justice issue, not just in other nations, but here as well. We have an area in Mississippi that on the Mississippi River and Louisiana. This is called Cancer Alley, and Cancer Alley is a place where there are a lot of petrochemical and recycling facilities, and these neighborhoods have really high cancer rates, and it's areas, you know, that are impoverished, that are marginalized communities, and we really want to stop polluting these areas. So we would stop shipping our recycling waste to other nations and put a temporary pause on new plastics facilities, which is really important for environmental justice. We're also going to protect existing state actions, and it would basically require more producer responsibility for collection and recycling. So stop putting all of the responsibility for this waste management on the consumer and putting it more on the producer and the people that are pumping out all the plastic. So we have to ask our members of Congress to co-sponsor this federal legislation. And this is, yeah.
We have a question in the chat where they asked why the Break Free from Plastic Pollution Act has to be reintroduced. Was it not approved, or what is?
Because when a bill doesn't pass with the previous Congress and you get new Congress, so we just voted in new members of Congress, you have to start all over again with a new bill. And then you have to sign them back on and try to sign on, you know, the new members of Congress. So, you know, and so basically, you know, you have, you know, that 2-year stretch, you know, multi-year stretch to try to get it passed. But if it doesn't pass within that Congress, you have to refile again.
Awesome.
Yeah. So it will be refiled. It will probably be identical. The new bill number will come soon. But when it does, a really easy way to find out your members of Congress is govtrack.us. Govtrack.us, you enter in your address and it will tell you who your members of Congress are. Here in Florida, we have 2 senators, Marco Rubio and Rick Scott. And depending on where you live, you also have a US representative. So you're going to ask all of those people to co-sponsor this bill. And what you do is you get the phone number to their office, and the staff will answer the phone. The real senator is not going to answer the phone. It's going to be staff. And it takes about 60 seconds or less. And you say, hello, my name is Catherine. I'm a constituent. I'm calling to ask Senator Rubio to co-sponsor and support the Break Free from Plastic Pollution Act. And the staff says, thank you, goodbye. And it literally usually takes less than 60 seconds. I can usually go through a whole list of lawmakers in like a matter of a couple minutes. So it's really not scary. I've even had some people that are super shy do it after hours, where they can just leave a message on the answering machine. So depending on how outgoing you are, you can also say, well, I would like to, you know, make an appointment with staff. I want to speak to somebody about this, you know, depending on how passionate you are about the issue. And you can ask for an appointment with staff over the phone. They're doing virtual appointments as well. But really, I mean, if you want to, you can just leave that 60-second message. It's really easy. Once you do it once or twice, then you become a pro at it, and it's really quick. It's really, it might be a little bit scary the first time, but you'll see it's great. You can also sign our online petitions, our online letters to Congress. We have all of them there, usa.oceana.org/take-action. And that has all of our campaigns on there, all of our letters to Congress. When you sign it, you put in your address, and it goes, depending on your address, it goes directly through to your members of Congress. So make sure you put your real address and zip code in there so that when you sign the letter, it goes straight through. Sometimes you'll even get an automatic response from the member of Congress. It'll say, thank you for contacting Senator Scott's office. We appreciate your input. But really, phone calls are the best thing. Yes, we want you to sign the letter. And also it helps because sometimes when I go speak with our members of Congress, I can tell them how many people, you know, in Florida have signed that petition. Like, this is how many people care about the issue. This is how many of your constituents cared about this issue. So sign the petition, but also phone calls are really, really important. Please make a call. Imagine if they got 500 calls in one day about plastic. They'd think, wow, people really care about this. So public pressure is important. So that was the Break Free from Plastic Pollution Act. That is on the federal level. Here on the state level, what can we do here in Florida? Again, unfortunately, Florida has some preemptions. We have the plastic bags and we have expanded polystyrene foam. What can be done about these preemptions? Well, we are advocating for a bill this legislative session, and it is HB 6027. SB 594. So in the House, the bill number is 6027. In the Senate, it's 594. So this bill is going to remove the preemptions. So it's not a statewide ban on anything. It's not statewide action, which would be good. I mean, definitely we would want lawmakers to support that. But for now, we would like them just to remove the preemptions so that your city has home rule on this issue. If your city wants to pass a bag ban, they should be able to. If your city is happy passing a phone ban, they should be able to. So that's what this bill would do. It would just repeal the preemption. It's a repeal bill. Okay, so it's not passing a law, it's just repealing that state preemption. Our state legislative session is really fast. It's like 60 days. It's 2 months. It's really quick. So they have to make their laws in those 60 days. The committees have already started meeting. This bill is, I will tell you on the next slide, has been referred to some committees that we can help try to move it along. This bill has been proposed before and did not pass, so it was proposed last legislative session. Again, it's not going to pass unless we have public pressure. You really need public pressure. So we need people to call their state lawmakers. So here's what you do. You find out who your state rep is and who your state senator is. So your state rep, you are going to, in the House, you are going to advocate for 6027, and your state senator, you're going to advocate for 594. So again, it's just like calling your member of Congress. You find out your state elected official's office phone number. You call, you say, my name is Catherine, I'm a constituent. I would like Senator Farmer to co-sponsor SB 594. The staff says, thank you very much, and that's it, less than 60 seconds. If they get a lot of calls, obviously, you know, that's public pressure. They realize it's important to constituents. The more calls, the better. Yes, you can send an email. Emails are good, a personalized email, a letter, but calls are definitely important. So if you can make a call, really, really appreciate that. If you go to this website, plasticfreefl.org/state, you will find all of the information about this bill. You will find links to find out who your state rep is, who your state senator is. You can also just Google find my Florida state representative. And then it'll lead you to the website and you type in your address. It'll tell you who your Florida senator and rep is. This is my senator here, Senator Farmer, that we visited in Tallahassee when we were still kind of able to, advocating for the repeal of the preemptions. So again, call, tell them you're a constituent. That means you live in their district. They're going to care most about their voters, right? And tell them that you would like to co-sponsor that bill. Now, after you do that, you want to check back in a week, in another week. Did they co-sponsor the bill? You can even Google the bill number and you can check who the co-sponsors are so far and see if they've co-sponsored it. If they haven't, call them back, hold them accountable. Say, hey, I asked you if you could co-sponsor that bill and I noticed you're not on it yet. Is there some reason why you're not co-sponsoring that bill? So you need to follow up, hold them accountable. You know, if they still won't do it, let's say they go, you know, the whole legislative session without co-sponsoring, hold them accountable. Consider writing a letter to the editor and publishing it in your local paper, you know, that you're very disappointed that your state representative did not support this bill because you thought that they were for the environment or you thought they were for home rule and you know, taking away preemption. So make sure that you hold your elected officials accountable because you know, that's really important. They're there to represent you, right? So that is the state bill, and it's been referred to 2 different committees, the Regulatory Reform Subcommittee, that's in the House, and also in the Senate Environment and Natural Resource Committee. The thing about these committees is, obviously when bills pass, they have to go through a set of committees before they go to a full vote on the floor. They never have to make it through one committee. In fact, they never even have to be put on the calendar. The chair of that committee gets to decide what he wants on the calendar or she wants on the calendar. If they don't consider this bill important, they'll never put on the calendar. It won't get discussed. It will never make it out of that committee. So to get it on the calendar, again, public pressure. So the chair of the Regulatory Reform Subcommittee his name is Bob Rommel. He is in the Marco Island Collier area. So if you're in that area, very important that you call. That's his phone number. And so we can all call him and say, hey, I would really appreciate if you could put 6027 on the earliest possible agenda for committee consideration. Same thing with Senator Broder. Senator Broder, can you please put 594 on your earliest possible agenda for committee consideration? If they don't get calls pressuring them to put this bill on the agenda, it'll never happen. So this bill will never even make it out of committee, it will just die. So we need your help in that to make to these chairs. And again, this is going to be on that website, plasticfreefl.org, under the tab state. It'll have all of this information. You're going to ask them to place this bill on their agenda and support it. Yes, you can also email and call Governor DeSantis. He was very helpful when the plastic straw preemption was going to pass. I don't know if anybody remembers, but our state legislature was going to preempt plastic straws, that we wouldn't be able to ban plastic straws, and the governor vetoed it. So we feel that if the governor vetoed that preemption and said, you know, that really should be left up to municipalities, the same thing should apply for plastic bags and polystyrene foam, right? So that's how you advocate for the state bill. And if you want to join us for Rise Above Plastics Advocacy Week, it's going to be the week of March 15th. All of the meetings are going to be virtual this year. So we usually go to Tallahassee in person and meet with the state elected officials, but we're going to do it all virtually. We are going to help our coalition partners like Surfrider Foundation and Environment Florida set up these meetings. All of the training is free. It's going to be provided on March 2nd. We're going to have a free training. You will not attend the meetings alone, so you're not going to be sitting in there with your elected official alone. We will have somebody, who, either me or somebody else that's experienced with lobbying our elected officials, to be with you so you can learn how to do it. And anybody can do it. We really need constituents to express to their representatives how they feel and what they want them to do. So that's where you register, Rise Above Plastics Florida 2021, and Maddie is going to send that out in the follow-up email. And you can also find that on our social media. So we hope that you will join us. And even if you can't, we hope that you'll make calls to your state elected officials about this bill.
We have a
Now,
quick question from the audience.
Sure.
An anonymous attendee was wondering if you're able to call representatives or senators from different states where you are not a constituent.
You can call from a different state, but honestly, they are going to obviously care most about their voters and their constituents. In fact, that's usually one of the first things that the staff asks. The staff doesn't always ask, but sometimes they'll ask you where you live. They'll ask you your city and your zip code, because they really care most about the people in their own municipality.
Awesome.
That's
Thank you.
that's who votes for them, right? So yes, we do appreciate calls, but a lot of times the staff will ask you where you live. And so, you know, even though the calls are appreciated, they're most appreciated from the constituents. Now, in your own municipality, we mentioned that you can still do things even with our preemptions. So, for example, you can prohibit the use of those certain plastic foam items on your city properties, city-owned facilities, city contracts, and events, which many municipalities have done. And if they have done it, it makes it easier for your municipality. Your city attorney can just look at something another city in Florida passed, and they can duplicate it. So it makes it easy. You can prohibit plastic bottled water on city properties, city parks, and city-owned facilities. I've only, I think, known one municipality in Florida to do this, and that was the Village of Miami Shores. The Village of Miami Shores last year banned plastic bottled water on all city property and city-owned facilities, which was great. That's the item that they cared about, and plastic bottles are a problem. So that was kudos to them. You can also ban single-use plastic items that don't fall under our preemption. So certain items are not preempted. For example, utensils. I mentioned it's really hard to find wooden utensils at our local grocery stores. Well, guess what could help that? We could just ban them. So working on that in some municipalities. I know here in Hollywood, in my city, I would love to see that happen. If we could be the first city in Florida to ban plastic utensils, I would be very proud. Again, that would just, you know, require our stores to stock different items. I know our Ben and Jerry's, you know, has already done that nationwide. They have wooden spoons. But again, we are not advocating necessarily for going from one disposable item to another. Obviously, you know, we believe in circular economy. So things like reusable items, you know, as much as we can, not just throwing things away. Less throwaway society. Definitely, that's what we're advocating for. Everything that goes to the landfill creates greenhouse gases, no matter what it's made out of, right? So we just want less waste in general. You can also ban straws. We mentioned that that preemption did not pass, that Governor DeSantis vetoed it, so you can still regulate plastic straws. You can also pass laws that are straws by request only, things by request only. So that's kind of a win-win for everybody, because that means that the stores are saving money by not giving a straw to everyone, but anybody that needs a straw or wants a straw can have one. So those are some examples of different things that you can do in our state.
We have a
So
question
yeah.
real quick. Is there somewhere where you can see if your municipality has any of the bans you've been discussing?
Yeah, so if you go to plasticfreefl.org, there is a pretty extensive list under sample legislation of different municipalities that have passed ordinances, and you can try to find on there. And also, you can just email me. I'll put up my email at the end if you're curious. I can let you know, and I can help you work on something in your city if you'd like. So the first step would be to find out who your mayor and city council members are in your municipality and contact them. So you might find that they're very receptive to what I've had cities that are so easy to pass things. I wish all cities were like that, where you just contact a mayor and say, hey, I'm concerned about this item, and other cities are doing it. Would you like to do it? Yeah, I'll have the city manager whip something up and we'll put it on the next meeting. Not all municipalities go like that. Some are more difficult than others, but you never know. So, find out who they are, see how educated they are about the issue, how much they care about it, and see if they're interested in it. Find out if the majority of your city council members are supportive of the ordinance. If you only have one in support and there's 6 city council members, you have your work cut out for you and you have a lot of educating to do. Ask them to add this to an upcoming city meeting agenda, where at least they can just, put the discussion up, and then you can have some residents and gather people to make comments and come and support, and see if you can drum up some support that way. If your city has a sustainability advisory board or sustainability coordinator, that makes it much easier, because you can contact them, you can discuss your suggestions, maybe make a presentation, have them recommend it to the city commission. That's a very easy way to go about it. If you don't have a majority of council members, like I said, you'll have to build community support or organize your little coalition to put pressure on your elected officials, and don't give up, because it might not happen this year, might happen next year, but it's a worthy cause. So you can find more guidance again at plasticfreefl.org. You can also speak at your city meetings. So even though city meetings, a lot of them are virtual now, and you might not want to go in, feel comfortable doing that, a lot of them will let you submit a comment to be read aloud during the meeting, or they might let you speak virtually. I speak virtually at city meetings that aren't even my own. So, you can do that virtually. Check with your city website or your city clerk for the procedures. You usually get a very short period of time to speak, only about 2 to 3 minutes. So make sure that you figure out what your comments are ahead of time. If the topic is not on the agenda, there's usually a time during your city meeting for general public comments, where someone can comment about anything that they want. State the problem, have a specific ask, what you want them to do, and make sure you follow up after the meeting. So also lobby where you live. Lobby meetings don't always have to be at the state capitol or the halls of Congress. The most effective lobbying you can do is in your own city, at your own city events, and forming relationships with your elected officials. And anybody can lobby their elected officials. Like I said, I've seen kids do it. So these are 2 high school students that formed a club at our local high school called Plastic Free Mermaids. This is our state senator, Gary Farmer. This is our mayor, Josh Levy. And this is our county commissioner, Beam Fur. And they all came to this March for the Ocean event, where we were educating them about ocean issues and making sure they knew what we cared about, and getting the whole town in support. So this is just one way that you can form relationships with your elected officials and make sure that they know what matters to their town and to their residents. So what you can do today is go to plasticfreefl.org. It'll have all of the information specific to Florida on there, what you can do local, state, and federal, as well as some tips on how to go about it. And please always feel free to reach out to me. Again, start sending emails to your elected officials, go over to our website, sign our letter to Congress, because which future do we want? I know I have 2 boys, I have 2 kids, and I worry about the planet that they're inheriting. And I love the ocean. We love spending time on the ocean. I want them to enjoy it, and I want generations to come to be able to enjoy it. And I know Maddie loves the ocean too. So it's, like when you love the ocean, it's just like the love of your life. It's like another child. So I want to protect it and I know that a lot of people watching do too. So I hope that you will join in this advocacy. Keep on doing your beach cleanups, but please join in this advocacy for policy as well, because it's very important. Here is all of my contact information and my social media information for Oceana in Florida. We also have our main Oceana site. And please definitely head over to that plasticfreefl.org site, because a lot of what you need is going to be there. So I am totally open for any other questions or comments, and anything that was unclear, just let me know, or anything I can expand on.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I swear you just lay it out so easily and approachable for
All right, now I
all
talk
the steps you
fast. I
can
was trying to
do.
get it all out.
No, that was perfect. And we have this all recorded, so if people need to check back, we will have it on Facebook, and we'll also post it on Instagram and YouTube. All right, so we answered most questions live that came up in the Q&A box. Great job as usual, Kat. Yeah, if you guys have any questions, feel free to submit them now. And then I'll also send out her contact information, Kat's contact information, in the follow-up email, along with the Plastic Free Florida website and the event page for the Rise Above Plastics Advocacy Week, which I'm participating in. So I'll see you there if you sign up. But if I don't see, okay, we've got some questions coming in real quick, and then we'll do the Kahoot quiz.
And I hope everyone feels better about calling their lawmakers. Really, if you're super shy, do it when the answering machine is going, but otherwise it really doesn't even take 60 seconds. Just tell them the bill number, tell them what you want them to do, and they say thank you, goodbye, and that's it. And it's very important.
I was gonna say, I feel like calling is almost better than emailing, because then you don't get put on a bunch of email lists that you don't want to be on. So
that's a good point. That's a good point.
All right, so we have anonymous attendee. Can you expand on having to reintroduce acts? Are you just redoing all the same work you did during the last session?
Unfortunately, yes. Same thing with our, I would say same thing with our shark bill. So, you know, Oceana works on the Shark Fin Trade Elimination Act, and we did so much work, getting so much bipartisan support on that bill, and so many co-sponsors. We really did amazing work on that bill, and we were so close. But unfortunately, now we have to start all over again because it's a new Congress. So, you know, we want to get people re-signed on, the same people that were on before that are still in Congress, added to the bill, and then also work on our new members of Congress. So if you're in Miami, you have a new member of Congress, Congresswoman Salazar, Maria Elvira Salazar. Please give her a call, help to educate her on the issues, make sure that she knows that her constituents care about this issue, and pressure her to get on that bill, please.
Awesome. Oh, and we have Steve Rosenberg, who sent this to Panos, but I think he meant to send it to everyone. Calling your elected officials is really easy. Didn't realize it until he tried it. So go ahead and go for it. Awesome.
Very good.
We have Danny, who's going to now participate in Rise Above Plastics Advocacy Week.
Great.
Awesome. All right. So since it's approaching 8, I'm going to start the quiz, but if you have more questions come up, I'll ask them after we do the quiz. So I'm going to share my screen real quick. All right. Can you guys see my Kahoot screen?
I can see it.
Awesome. So yes, you just go, you navigate to www.kahoot.it, and then it'll prompt you to plug in this pin. You'll put in your name, and then it'll start, people will start to pop up as they sign on.
The Kahoot quizzes are fun. I did one for the first time recently.
Yeah, they're fun. I stole them from the City of Miami Beach, was doing them on their Sustainacella webinars. They do some awesome work passing ordinances on the City of Miami Beach. But yeah, very fun, very user-friendly, even for people that aren't the most technologically advanced.
Wonderful. Oh, and if you live in the city of Sunny Isles Sunny Isles Beach just passed on their first reading an ordinance to reduce polystyrene. So thank you, Sunny Isles Beach. And their second reading will be soon. So if you live in Sunny Isles Beach, please write to your elected officials and let them know, say thank you for passing that first reading, and make sure that they have support for passing it on second reading.
Awesome. All right. So We still have 23 people on the call, so I'm going to give it like one more minute for everyone to sign on.
I see more names popping up.
And as a reminder, the winner is going to get a Ticos bracelet made from ocean plastic and also an Oceana t-shirt. And then second place will get the Oceana t-shirt. One of our formal debris-free oceans education interns actually works here now. And they do some really awesome work and donate a portion of proceeds from each bracelet to a specific nonprofit or organization. So the one that you'll be receiving goes to the National Park Foundation, which is awesome. All right, I'm going to go ahead and start the quiz right now. Oh, wait. Oh, Steve. Okay. I'll start at 7:55. That's the last, that's the final straw.
I'm really happy to see some of the comments that someone said they were just joining to like listen in, and then I think they're going to participate in Rise Above Plastic. So yay.
Awesome. Yeah, I did, just to give people a second to sign on, I've done some a work like this with the National Parks Conservation Association. They did a virtual fly-in for oil and gas reform bills. And it's just, you go on Zoom, they tell you exactly kind of the things that you might want to say, but also still put a personal spin on it. And well-trained people are with you, and it's really not intimidating at all. So definitely encourage participating in virtual lobbying.
Yeah, and then the elected officials can't say, well, I didn't know anybody cared about that issue, because honestly, I spoke with one of our elected officials in Tallahassee once, and I said, why did you pass that plastic preemption? They said, honestly, we didn't hear much from anybody about it. I didn't know that anybody cared about it. So make sure that they definitely know that you care about it.
All right, 7:55. I'm going to go ahead and start the quiz. All right. Question number 1, which item can your city ban stores and restaurants from selling or distributing? This is specifically general stores and restaurants.
Yeah. What item can you still ban? Foam, bags, or utensils?
Nice job. Yes, plastic utensils. For foam and bags, that's where you really have to get into the specific city property ordinances, because right now you can't do a general ban like that. Scoreboard. Got Kayla's in the lead. In Oceana's recent plastics report, what percent of impacted animals were listed under the Endangered Species Act? I couldn't fit the whole report title in the question because I ran out of characters.
That's all right.
The plastics crisis unfolding in our oceans report.
What percentage were endangered, threatened species? You have 18%, 50%, or 88%.
Nice, 88%, which is shocking. I did not realize that.
And many of them were manatees too, turtles and manatees.
Oh, and I just quickly wanted to point out that when scoring, Kahoot takes into consideration both whether you got it right or not, or speed. So try to be fast, and I'll try to be fast about reading off the questions too. So now Morgan's in the lead. What should Floridians do to help the preemption repeal bill pass? Ask your state representative and senator to co-sponsor the bill. Ask the regulatory reform subcommittee chair to put the bill on the meeting agenda quickly. Ask your city council to pass a resolution in support of this repeal bill, or all of the above. We got 1 second. All of the above.
Very good. And actually, Sunny Isles Beach just passed a resolution to support the state bill too.
Oh, amazing. Morgan's still in the lead. When looking at the chart on global plastics production in 2015, what percentage was plastic packaging? 6%, 36%, or 66%? 36%. I know, I was thinking it would be 66% too.
Yeah, plastic packaging is 36%.
So got Aaron took the lead, but Morgan's still in second. All right. How many municipalities in Florida currently have plastic straw laws? 27, 37, or 77? 27. One day we'll get up there.
And that's why a lot of people ask, well, how come you're just tackling straws? And the answer for a lot of people was because it was one of the few things that we could try to tackle. We'd like to try to tackle other things, but we can't. So
yeah, we've actually encountered when we talk to businesses about what's hardest to switch out is cutlery tends to be just harder to find options for. So definitely something to focus that vendors can start to focus producing more of would be helpful.
yeah, that's why I always try to carry my own utensils with me because I hate using plastic.
Yes. Sorry, I started that one really quickly. The Village of Miami Shores has banned a specific single-use plastic item on city property. Which one did they ban? Yes, always good to bring your own utensils. Actually, oh, I should have brought my keys over. I have a little set on my keys along with a little foldable straw.
Awesome.
Yeah, water bottles, confetti. I keep getting distracted and not reading all the answers. Plastic
Hopefully
utensils
people
with
can
plastic
still
straws.
see it. Yeah.
Yes, they can. They can.
Good. A lot of people are paying attention. Yep.
And
Village of
this,
Miami
I
Shores
actually,
banned plastic water bottles.
that's amazing. I had not heard that story, which I'm embarrassed to say, but that's fantastic. We have a lot of, not a lot, but we have some recommendations for canned water options if you guys know anyone that needs them. All right, 2 more questions. I'll stop blabbering. Morgan's still in the lead. By 2050, plastic production is expected to stay the same, double, triple, or quadruple. Got like 5 more seconds. Quadruple, nice.
Ooh, everybody got that right.
Nice work. Morgan's still in the lead, and we've got 1 more question. I can help the Break Free from Plastic Pollution Act pass by calling the office of my U.S. House Representative, calling the offices of Rubio. Okay.
Oh, that was
Everyone
quick.
got it. Yes, calling the senators and setting up an appointment to meet with your members of Congress. Great job, guys. So now we can see the winners. Aaron in 3rd place.
Good job, Aaron.
Kayla in 2nd place.
Good job, Kayla.
And Morgan in 1st place. Great job, guys. Runners up, Bianca and Megan. Congratulations. If Morgan or Kayla, will you guys put your email addresses in the chat, and then we'll follow up after the call to make sure we get you guys your prizes.
Awesome.
Cool. Amazing. Yes, so don't forget to put your email in the chat. Oh, plastic-free mermaids. I love that. Is that the
Hi, Kayla. I know Kayla.
Oh, okay.
She was one of the people in the photo of
amazing.
Lobby Where You Live with she was the plastic-free mermaids.
Awesome. Let's see. I'm going to check and see if we got any more questions. Oh, we have Alana runs a high school club and wants to get everyone involved in Rise Above Plastics Week. Awesome. So just check out for the follow-up email. Actually, I'll go ahead and put the event in the chat too. I can pull that up really quickly.
Great. Yeah, we're hoping to get maybe about 5 constituents per elected official. So 5 constituents with each lawmaker. So that would be great. Please tell all of your friends that care about this issue.
Yeah, I pull it up at the Facebook page for the event right now. So this is where you can RSVP on Facebook, and I think it links to the Eventbrite. Is there an Eventbrite? Or this links to the Google form where you sign up to express your interest.
Yeah, and you can also find it, I know, on plasticfreefl.org, and you can also look at our announcements on our social media. So if you go to Oceana, Florida, Instagram or Facebook, you should see it on there too.
Amazing. Well, thank you guys so much for joining. I'm just gonna stop recording and turn off the Facebook Live to start shutting down. But as you guys, if you have more questions, feel free to put in the chat. Everyone's saying thank you, how informative it was. I agree, as always.
Thank you guys for joining in, and